Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we're taking a look at the Batmobile 2-in-1 vehicle from the Spin Masters Batman line. This is compatible with the 4-inch figures that they're putting out now. This thing's pretty massive, as you can see here, but it was $19.99 on Amazon, so I feel like that's pretty fair. It's kind of a 2-in-1 because you can see there's a boat up there that actually fits inside. Very reminiscent of the Batman the Animated Series Batmobile, how that had kind of the Batmobile and then had the piece that pulled out of the back, and that was like a little flying jet. Very similar, just with a boat instead of a jet. So, kind of cool. I think it's neat. Like I said, $20 feels like a pretty fair price, but I think because of that, it does not include a figure. It's just the Batmobile, so you have to get a figure elsewhere. It comes in this kind of open style packaging. Here's this kid is jazzed, man. He's very excited to have picked up this Batmobile, and you can see it says fits 4-inch figure, so should fit any 4-inch figure, I would think. Well, within reason. I think the larger villains are not going to fit in there. Your Killer Croc, your Clayface, but I would think Batman, Superman, Robin, Nightwing, probably any of the normal sized hero figures would probably fit in this, but we'll give it a shot. But yeah, it says includes Batman 2-in-1 vehicle, so that is all that is included here. You don't get the kids or Batman, so. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the packaging, and we'll take a closer look. So here is the Batmobile out of the packaging. And I just say, I think it looks pretty cool. It's a definitely unconventional design, I'll say. I don't know, this is probably just from some fiction that I'm just not familiar with. But I think it's pretty cool. And also I think down the road they could probably do different Batmobiles if they wanted to. I don't know how extensive their licensing is, but maybe if they wanted to do like the Michael Keaton Batmobile or the animated series Batmobile or the Tumbler from the Christopher Nolan trilogy, something like that. Could be cool to give you different options. This is almost kind of like a Bat tank or something, kind of feels like to me. But it's kind of neat. It rolls very well, as you can see. Not much to it. It is kind of just a big hunk of plastic. The wheels are definitely just kind of thin, well, not thin, I don't want to say, but just, black, solid black plastic. Nothing super intricate to them or anything like that. You do have some guns molded in the front, which looks pretty cool. And there's a lot of detail molded on the top, which I think is pretty nice. And there's nice paint in here. The colors are very similar, so it's kind of hard to tell, but I believe this is a lighter gray, like almost like a silvery gray, whereas this is just kind of like molded out of like a gunmetal gray. So there is paint on here, and it looks pretty neat. On the back you can see the giant thruster. You can also see that this is what the boat is, was already been inserted. So if you just want to use it as a Batmobile, this lifts up just like that, very simply. And then you can see Batman is already inside. I went ahead and used the Batman from the Swamp Showdown 3-pack. I tried to use the one that came with the motorcycle, but I think his legs are like a little bit more bow-legged because that's how they work with the motorcycle. So I couldn't really, I guess if I turned his thighs and kind of bend his legs in a little bit, you could probably make it still work, but he just has a harder time getting his legs narrow enough to fit inside the Batmobile, just because of how I think he's designed to work more with the bike. But he works great with the bike. But I'm sure you could probably make it work, just have to bend his legs around a little bit more. But this guy right away was no big deal. So if you want to pull out the boat, you do have to lift this up a little bit. You can't just pull it straight out because otherwise Batman's head won't clear. So if you just pull this out, and you can see, like if I close this down now, you can see how Batman's head sticks out. So you can't keep this all the way down or else his head would never clear. But then you just pull this out. Let me zoom back out. Whoop. And then there you go. You have your boat. So I'm going to lift this out of the area just for a minute. And we'll take a closer look at the boat here. It's cool. I like it. The design is very similar to the Batmobile, which I think makes sense. Makes it seem cohesive. These are spring-loaded, so they will automatically fold back down when they have the ability to do so. He fits pretty easily in the cockpit. He has kind of two little joysticks that you can peg the hands onto. Otherwise, I'll take the hands off and then lift him out. He kind of sits on the cape. It does crumple up the cape a little bit, but there's really no way to avoid that. But see what I'm saying about how you can really get his legs closer together? And that's necessary because of, this is how narrow the opening is. It's probably hard to see, but that's the opening you have to make sure to get his legs through. And then you can see a better look at the two like joysticks for him to grab hold of. But I think it's a pretty cool vehicle. I like it. I think it works. It doesn't come with like an exclusive version of Batman or anything, so if you know, it's not really doing it for you, you could easily pass on this, and like I said, maybe they'll do a different version of Batmobile later on. The other thing I will say is, for me, and let me bring the Batmobile back in here, when I've seen toys in the past that have like a boat, usually the boat deploys out the front, because you would think like if the car would like drive up to the edge of a body of water, then it would want to shoot the boat out the front and immediately use that momentum to start, you know, skimming along the water, and then the engine would kick in, so on and so forth. I mean, I guess he could like back up to the body of water and then like deploy this and then kind of turn around in the water and then start on his way. But I feel like if he's in pursuit of a villain or something, time is of the essence. Like speed is something you'd want to have. So I don't know though. I don't know how they would have done it. Maybe have like this section lift up and have the boat come out in between here. Like you probably could have done something where this popped out in between, which to me, that's kind of like, that's the reason why you have this all open like that, would have been to do something where this pops out the front. I just think that would have been a little bit neater. Even if, I mean, I don't know, I was thinking maybe have it spring loaded where like maybe this was a button or something and it shot it out and then you lifted this up, plugged it back in and closed it back down and then you hit the button to deploy it again. But I mean, again, anytime you run into like spring loaded gimmicks and things like that, you run the risk of them eventually wearing out, not working very well, things like that. So, I mean, at this point, all you have to worry about is these. But even if these weren't spring-loaded, I feel like you could just move them yourself. It's not that big a deal. You could just fold it up and have it stay there or fold it down after you pull it out. Not really necessary. I mean, the other thing is if you really just wanted to pretend that this was some kind of aircraft, you could. It has wings. I mean, yes, it looks like a boat, but, you know, use your imagination. You could pretend it's a plane of some kind. This also has wheels on the bottom, so it rolls pretty nicely on its own. Not too bad. Like I said, I like the idea. I like the gimmick. And like I said, it's very much reminds me of that Batman, the animated series, Batmobile. But that was a plane that came out the back, so it almost kind of made sense. Like you could send this on the ground, pop out as the plane, and then almost like use this like a drone. Like it could go around on the streets and you could control it from the, which I mean, you still technically could do that. You could still have this pop out and like, you know, run this in the water and have this still act like a drone, which I think is kind of cool. I mean, you could still even have, you could put a figure in here, technically. I mean, if you needed to just have like, maybe someone fell in battle or something and you wanted to kind of put them in here and say, okay, you know, take that guy to the hospital, boom, he's on his way. And then you have Batman making his way. I mean, he could even drive around in this. I mean, it's got wheels, so you could have him drive around. You could pretend it's a spacecraft. I mean, I guess you could, but aircraft, you could pretend it's a watercraft. I mean, I think it's meant to be a boat. I believe that's what it says from the packaging. Let me double check here. It doesn't really say. To be fair, it just says 2-in-1 vehicle. I guess I just assumed it was a boat. It says launch the vehicle. Yeah, so there you go. It can be whatever you want it to be. But I think in the long run, I mean, for collectors, you might want to pass on this. It really just depends on if you enjoy this design of the Batmobile. But I think kids would love this. I think for $20, you know, you get two pretty good sized vehicles here to be used with the 4-inch figure line. Like I said, technically you could put a figure inside here still. It's just a giant open cavity in there. You could probably put a couple. You could probably fit 2 or 3 if you jammed them in there. So you could have a figure in here, a figure in here. You just have to make sure you took the figures out of there before you put this back in, because otherwise that wouldn't end up well. The only other thing really that I would complain about is, like I said, when you have a character in there, it kind of messes up the cape, but I don't really know how they would have found a way around that, to be honest, because, you know, what are they supposed to do? Like, the cape has to go in there with them, so it's gonna get crumpled sometimes. Not really anything you can do, just be kind of careful with it. But yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a cool design of the Batmobile. If it's a little not what I'm used to, but I still think it's kind of neat. And I'll be interested to see what other kind of vehicles they do down the line. I'm sure they'll probably do a Batwing of some kind. Um, I'd like to see like a Batcave playset. That's really what I want to see. And I would just hope that when they do make that, it would be compatible with this. It's kind of wide though. So the the Batcave playset I always remember from being a kid, had like a door for the Batmobile to drive through. So that's kind of wide, but I think they could still make it work. So whatever they decide to do, I just hope it's compatible with whatever they've done so far. And I think it's kind of neat. But like I said, if you want to stick to the motorcycle, because that actually comes with some figures, I can understand that. But I do think that this is kind of neat. So I'm just repeating myself at this point. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool though. I definitely, for $20, I think it's fair for what you get. So hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Otherwise, I guess if you want to comment on the video, you could find me on Twitter. The link will be at the end of the video. And I do have a Discord, which is available from my Twitter. So you could leave me comments in there, I guess. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks for watching.